What's going on, everyone? This is the Warehouse Series, and this is Discord Friday. Every Friday, I take the pictures off of Discord, so if you're not a member and you want your pictures on a future video, that link is always in the description below, and it's always going to be free, guys. I'm never going to charge for Discord, so join Discord. Take your photos off of Discord. Every Friday, I'm going to go over 10 pictures. I don't want to go over any more than 10 because I don't want this video to be too long. And guys, just because your pictures are not on the video does not mean you cannot learn from this. We go over all types of different warehousing. So if you were in the type of warehouse that I'm reviewing the picture on, you can definitely learn as well. Guys, give me a thumbs up if you guys enjoy the video and subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate it. So let's get to the first picture. All right, so the first pallet I want to go over is VHS Gabe off of Discord. They said they had people coming over saying, it's amazing how level this is. I'm not trying to be a critic on this. I love how level it is as well, but I think sometimes we focus on trying to level out layers way too much. I mentioned in the past that these Taylor Farms are one of the last cases you want to turn on their sides. With these flaps down here, they pop open very easily when they're put on their sides. So as of right now, we don't have a ton of weight on top of them, but if this turned into a full pallet, remember what I said before, it's got to leave your warehouse, it got to go on a ride, possibly to another warehouse, and then it could be on the truck for a while, and going over bumps and shaking and everything. Any type of heavy weight on this is going to pop this flap right open. Even being wrapped, it will crush this box. Taylor Farms, I highly recommend not putting these on their sides unless they're at the top of the pallet. But with that being said, you definitely can construct a pallet really well. You're doing very well with your pallets, and we're going to actually take a look at another picture right now. All right, so once again, VHS Gabe's work. There's a couple things here I want to talk about as well. The Taylor Farms on their sides, I just highly recommend not doing this. Remember, guys, when the case is upright, it's at its strongest point. When you put cases like this on their side, they're at their weakest point. So just watch putting cases on their sides. And the column stacking is okay. Okay, this part of the warehouse, this produce part of the warehouse is okay. These are all lighter boxes, salad mix, we got, broccoli, cauliflower, stuff like that. We got some fruit cups in here. So it's okay to column stack, and then even putting this last box like this is just taking a slight, rock off of this corner. So I love how they constructed the pallet. One thing I want to point out is this case upright. We got no pressure up above it, so I like that because we're putting this case there. They might not have been able to lay it down. There might be a case on the inside of that, so they stuck it upright to fill in a gap, and we're preventing this case and this case from shifting back and forth by sticking this case here, as long as there's no pressure on top of it. Another thing I want to say is your Del Monte upside down. I always say anytime there's an arrow on something, make sure it's facing up. These leak. All right, I throw these boxes all the time up in produce or up in the perishable building, and these cases will leak if you turn them upside down. Those fruit cups and stuff that are inside these boxes are not foolproof. You put pressure on the tops of those, and those things pop open. They pop open very easily, and if you do have one break open, it's going to leak all inside this box here. So when it gets to the store, if it leaks, they're going to not be able to sell these contents in this box as well as this box. So make sure you're putting your Del Monte upright. All right, guys, so the next pallet I want to look at is Samuel 7625. This is what we talk about in the produce warehouse. Column stacking. You can get away with this stuff with no problem. We got pears, it looks like on the bottom, or apples on the bottom, column stack. Now, this is what we talk about in the 5 block. Even though this person, Samuel, only needed 3 of these, or maybe even 5 of them, did not automatically go to a 5 block to fill out that layer. Because this person knows that if you stack smaller cases in the middle of these boxes, they will crush. This is exactly what I would do. Stack these up the front. You do not want a full layer of these apples or pears for the reason I just said. And look on top. We're keeping cases that are the same size of that box, and then they took their cantaloupe and then tied in a little bit, and then they went right back to stacking straight up again. This is the proper way of doing this stuff because of what I said. Like, if this person, I'm just saying, you don't want to stack smaller cases on these boxes, so they're grouping them together, and I like exactly how they did that. So let's look at the next picture. All right, guys, this next pallet's also Samuel 7625, and this is where at produce you want to tie in. bags, you want to tie in. You don't want to column stack bags if you have a lot of them. If I just had 3 bags, then I could get away with column stacking, because I told you 3 potato bags equal 2 bananas. So let's say you had 6 bananas running down to one side and you had 6 potatoes. You could 3 stack the potatoes and they will equal those bananas. So remember that stuff. Guys, remember what I just said. If you got a high and a low case, the last thing you want to do is tie in that high and low case and get a case on a slant like we have right here with the mangoes, with these little mangoes. You do not want to tie in a high with a low, because look at this corner leaning out. It's all because of that high and low. Also, right here, it looks like this. I would have probably slid these mangoes over or moved them, because my corner is more important than the inside of this pallet. It looks like this case of potatoes or yams is being pushed off because it didn't fit. Or let's say, guys, when you're on potatoes, it's so weird sometimes. Sometimes if you put a case on and it's slanted a little bit outwards, flip that case around real quick and see if it sits better. Believe it or not, the yams are just like the bag of potatoes. They're in there all different, and just swapping that case around and putting it in the opposite direction might sit better. But I think your mangoes are pushing out your yams. So I probably would have did something different in here, or pushed this stuff over. Do not tie in from there to there. I actually see a gap. I think we could actually slid these over and slid this whole column over. But other than that, this is a great build pallet. Just this corner, I would have done a little differently. So let's get to the next picture. All right, guys, this next picture is from Big Daddy James, and it looks like this is another warehouse that builds. They stack 3 pallets sideways. I honestly think 3 pallets is overkill. I honestly believe there should not be triple pallet jacks, and we should not be using double pallet jacks and putting 3 skids on it sideways to perform. I just think sometimes when you ask too much of your selectors at one time, you actually get less work done, in my opinion. All right, I never selected on a triple pallet jack, but just by doing this channel and learning off of you guys on Discord, I think this is overkill. I think 2 pallets is plenty for someone to deal with, and you're actually probably can get more work out of somebody building 2 pallets than 3 at one time. I think it's overkill. But with that being said, what a great pallet. We got a nicely stacked pallet. I also said this to Tom Hardy, Discount Tom Hardy, which we're going to be going over 4 of their pictures because they stack the same way, and I think it's something that we need to address a little bit more on this channel. So do you, Big Daddy James, do you build this way across the pallet, or are you building from the front, which is the side of our pallet, to the back? I'm curious which way you build. Nonetheless, great pallet. I love the use of the slip sheets. I love all these sour creams in the middle. We got a nice big case on the corner. Notice how they did not use their sour creams for the corner. All right, we got one up here, but the higher the pallet goes, the more we could use these. But look how they kept that big case there. We pinned in sour cream up here, and we pinned in the sour cream over here. So very well constructed pallet. I like it, and let's get on to the next picture. All right, guys, so the next pallets I want to look at is Auto. We're just going to call you over on Discord. Immediately when I saw this picture, I thought one thing right away, and I actually told him, what do you see? Immediately I said, how smart was it for this person? If you have to build on these crappy plastic pallets, they doubled up their plastic pallets. This is why I hate plastic pallets, because all this weight will most definitely bend these pallets. And they did a smart thing by doubling up these pallets. So I love what they did there. And I'll tell you what, these pallets are perfectly built. Layer by layer, and I said, you got your stuff leaning inwards. When you have product leaning in towards the middle like this, I know this is a very well-constructed pallet. Why? Because we kept higher cases. We always think about having that higher corner and lower inside. That's why you see the pallet going like this. I love this pallet. It is solid, very well built, as much as the back one. Very well-built pallet. Tied in when we can. We got a little bit of a column stack, and then we tie it again. So I really like these pallets. You did a great job. Please keep sending in your pictures. All right, guys. So the last 4 pictures are Discount Tom Hardy, which I don't even think works in a warehouse anymore. I think this person just left, but it doesn't matter because these are pallets that are being built sideways. And like I said, every picture that we could possibly look at is helping you build a better pallet. So what would I have done different on this pallet right here? here. First of all their pallets are nice, and all his pallets are nice and square. I like how he stays nice and square. That is first and foremost. You do not want to be hanging over the side of the pallet. You want to keep them square. What I would have done is these fresh steps right here, I would have squeezed one right in here and possibly one over here. I like these two cases going in. So why are these two cases crushing? It's because we tried to tie in those two cases. We have these same boxes. They are weaker, bigger boxes, and they do crush. So what I would have done is I would have took this box and I would have put this fresh step here in this gap, and then I would have turned this box and kept facing it towards the middle of the pallet. I would not have changed the direction, because now we got weight in the middle of these two boxes, and then we added more weight on top of it. So I would have turned this and kept it facing towards the middle and tried to fill in some gaps with the fresh step. Other than that, this pallet is very well built. All right, so this is the second picture I'm going to look at with Tom Hardy. Once again, very nice constructed pallet. I got one thing I would have done different here. So yeah, you want to keep that imaginary line going up the corner here, but you don't want it to compromise the structure of the pallet. This case being all the way to the corner is going to compromise the structure of the pallet. See how we're just on this Gatorade? So there is a very, very good chance by the time this gets to the store, this case is going to be in this gap right here, and we're going to have a pallet that possibly could fall over. So what I would have done is just slid the door over so we were on the cap. And then my next case, so we would have had this door over a little bit. We would have had a little gap here. I would have brought the Arm & Hammer out back to the perimeter. So you would just have like a line going like this and then coming back out again. I would make sure that this was rested on that that middle Gatorade better. Other than that, this pallet is very well built. All right, this is Tom's third picture I want to look at, and once again, nice and square. This here, I understand you put it on its side. You're lining up with the that. I just don't like how it's sticking out. From this point of view, it looks like this case is sticking out pretty decently. I probably would have done something different with it, but I get why you did it. Over here, I would have took this Arm & Hammer with these two bags, and I would have had that as my corner. Even if I put this Arm & Hammer down first, I don't like smaller cases forming a corner. I like the big cases on the corner. So I would have just took your this here and this here, the fresh step down here and this, and I would have put it towards the middle, and I would have took my I just would have rotated that around, because then we would have had our higher corner. Not only would we had a higher corner, but we would have had a bigger case on the corner. But other than that, this side of the pallet looks very well built. All right, guys, so this is the last picture of the day and the last picture of Tom Hardy's. Once again, we got a gap down here with this Gatorade just sitting on this case right here. I would have probably, this would be one of the few rare times I probably would have turned this Gatorade the opposite direction and ran it this way to fill in this gap, or I would have moved this case over so it was on the caps of the other Gatorade. But other than that, a great pallet, very well built. All right, everyone, so that's the last picture. So please keep posting your pictures on Discord, and I will put them on a future Friday. And also, guys, any questions that you have on any of the pallets I just went over, maybe you think I'm wrong, whatever, put it in the comment section below and we can discuss it. So I will see you guys next time. Have a great day.